What do you mean the bank is out of money?
Insolvent? You only have enough cash for the next 3 customers!
Hey, just a second here. No, I don't have your money here. It's in Bill's house and Fred's house.
Hey, what the hell you doing with my money in your house, Fred?
Was this the scene at Silicon Valley Bank on Friday? What an incredible story this is. The largest bank collapse since the financial collapse of 2007, 8, and then 9. It seems like we just got out of that collapse, and now we're possibly looking at something happening with the financial institutions here in the United States. However, the most recent headlines are that the feds are going to have funds to cover the Silicon Valley Bank after it collapsed on Friday. So a lot of moving pieces here, and as the sun starts coming up in Washington, D.C., a lot of people still kind of recovering from working over the weekend, but this is obviously a pretty trying time for bankers as they figure out exactly how to approach this. And some people are having some fun online. We just saw the thing shared about The Simpsons that was going all over Twitter with the questions of a bank run, and people revisiting even South Park from several years ago, where they have Stan going to a bank and trying to, see if he can have investments that increase over time. And oh boy.
What?
It's gone. It's all gone.
What's all gone?
The money in your account. It didn't do too well. It's gone.
Yeah. So that's the look that you get on your face whenever you open up your bank account and it says that the funds are frozen and you can't do anything about it. So obviously there's some people concerned here because Silicon Valley Bank, they are a bank for a lot of the tech companies in Silicon Valley. And there were a lot of startup companies as well that may have been inflated by the pandemic assistance that the federal government gave. But all of this just weeks after a leading bank leader there at the Silicon Valley Bank selling some of his shares beforehand, before the bottom just absolutely dropped out. So a lot of things to be had on this issue and how it's going to impact the markets moving forward this morning. I think the president said that he's going to be discussing this for today, but here's what the White House had to say on Friday whenever they were asked about what's going on with Silicon Valley Bank.
It is the 19th largest bank in the U.S. It went down in about 40 hours. What do you say to Americans who have real concerns today about their hard-earned savings and money?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why we have the FDIC and other safeguards in place in our banking system. And what I would say to them is that our Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary Yellen, the bank regulators, those who provide the guardrails and are safeguarding are closely watching and are prepared to use the tools that they need.
It is the 19th largest.
So prepared to use the tools they need, and over the weekend they were discussing this in a lot of, I'm sure, just feverish meetings trying to discover exactly how to handle this. And Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, making the rounds on Sunday morning talk shows. And here's some of what she had to tell CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday when discussing what to do with Silicon Valley Bank, and is there going to be a bailout above and beyond what FDIC insures? But you got to keep in mind, FDIC apparently only insures up to $250,000 per individual. Some of these big companies that had their money in their SVB account not able to access this. So here's on Face the Nation, Janet Yellen responding to some questions and laying out there a variety of different approaches and what some of the things that are going to happen this morning are.
Now to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
Let me say America's economy relies on a safe and sound banking system that can provide for the credit needs of our households and businesses. So whenever a bank, especially one like Silicon Valley Bank with billions of dollars in deposits, fails, it's clearly a concern. we've been hearing from those depositors and other concerned people this weekend. So let me say that I've been working all weekend with our banking regulators to design appropriate policies to address this situation.
So again, you've got the ongoing questions about SVB, what's going to happen with Silicon Valley Bank, and
can you say whether there will be other regional bank failures?
Some other failures. Will this be a contagion of sorts?
Let me just say that we want to make sure that the troubles that exist at one bank don't create contagion to others that are sound.
Do you foresee what's happening now as making it harder for Fed Chair Powell to continue with the kind of rate hikes he's indicated he plans?
The Federal Reserve is independent and charged with making judgments about what the appropriate course of action is to address financial risks and also to achieve their inflation and employment goals. And I'm not going to comment on what the appropriate response is for them. They will be evaluating this in the days and weeks to come.
So Janet Yellen talking about how this will be something watched closely by the financial sector for days and weeks to come. But here's the latest headlines. Government steps in with plan to protect all deposits at the Silicon Valley Bank beginning today. Depositors will be able to access all their funds. And this is as the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve and the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, revealing this plan in a joint statement saying, today we are taking decisive actions to protect the U.S. economy by strengthening public confidence in our banking system. The statement goes on to discuss how they are looking to fully protect all depositors, and depositors will have access to all their money starting today. No losses associated with the resolution of Silicon Valley Bank will be borne by the taxpayer, they said. Because that was initially Friday. There's a lot of questions of, well, it looks like, the financial sector might have to come to Congress to get a big bailout. And there was a lot of pushback against that idea, especially considering, how this might impact things moving forward. But as we watch the markets open this morning, as we watch what the White House has to say and how this might ripple across the economy, it's going to be fascinating. So I think that we also have to look at how this could possibly lead to conversations about the central bank digital currencies. Right now, there's a lot of decentralized currencies, but you've got an effort to try to bring about a central bank digital currency. So that's a conversation I think that we have to spend some time on in the future. We'll see if we can ever get to that with just how rapid the news is each and every morning. Another headline on this, Biden administration making major announcements after the Silicon Valley Bank collapse. And those announcements expected during a news conference. And we'll see what the president has to say about this moving forward. Meanwhile, regulators announced closure of New York's Signature Bank, which held significant cryptocurrency stakes. So here's the lead of that story. A worker, at the bank being placed into receivership under the Fed's Emergency Lending Authority, FDIC, according to a December 2022 securities filing. New York-based Signature Bank held more than $110 billion in assets from digital currencies, included about $17.7 billion in crypto-related deposits there. So you've got another a bank that's in trouble as two more banks seek to reassure customers that they've got funds following what happened at the Silicon Valley Bank. So a lot of questions about the banking institutions on Friday, all throughout the weekend. So we'll hear a lot more about all of that coming up here in the days and weeks